start the meeting. I'll do roll call. So I'm here. John is not. So Brian, Amer?
Here.
Can you correct me? Is it Amer?
We say Amer. Yeah.
Amer. Okay. Thank you. Joy?
I'm here.
Thank you. Steve?
Yes, here.
All right. Brian, and is it Caradeo?
Caradeo, yeah.
Caradeo. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Donovan?
Yeah, here.
Rodney?
Here.
And Manny?
Here.
Excellent. So we have a quorum for tonight. I don't have any adjustments. What's that?
I was just going to mention Councillor Young is with us this evening.
Yeah.
Councillor Griffin is out of town. Just giving you a heads up on that.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
So moving through our agenda, we can go through last week's minutes. I kind of went through and reviewed. I didn't see anything that caught my eye. Did anybody find any corrections from, last month's minutes? Okay. I'll go ahead and move to approve the minutes as written, if I can get a second.
I'll second that.
Okay. Was that Manny?
It is.
Okay. And then all in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? I feel weird asking that with minutes, but that's the only way I can really hear if there's somebody who has something that I can't really recognize just with all the eyes. So
Yeah.
okay, well, let's go ahead and jump through citizen comments. Any comments? Oh. One of these days we'll get another one.
Just send one in for you.
Yeah. Sometimes, I'll be honest, sometimes it's a little discouraging, but I just have to remember it's not because people don't care. It's just sometimes it may just be a sign that we're doing a good enough job to where they're not concerned enough to raise concerns over things right now. So, but okay, so we're good with that. Let's go to the Cedar Creek Trail update.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Jason, all right. Thanks for having me. I'll see if I can get Kelsey to share my screen here. Can you see the welcome to the Cedar Creek Trail?
Yes.
All right. So I just had a really quick update here. The bid opening did get pushed back again, so it's pushed back to this Thursday. The original reason was they had a power outage during the storm, and they had power down for a few days at the bid center, so that pushed the bid out by a week, and then there was a bid item discrepancy that would have caused us to go over the agreed to amounts and cause delays. So Thursday we'll know. The bid opening's at 2 p.m. I won't know the results until 5, but everybody here will be email, I'm sure, that has the results. We'll also post them online here as well. We do have interest on the project. We have a plan holders list through ODOT, and there are interested contractors. So we're optimistic there. Once that's done, once the bids are open, we'll kind of have a real firm grasp on budget implications, and it's CIP plan update time. So I think at the April meeting, I'll be able to give you kind of a 10-minute or 15-minute wrap it up presentation on the budget and where things are at. But please stay tuned for the bid results on Thursday. That's all I had for today.
Excellent. Thank you, Jason. I guess my only question is just with that little delay, do you see any issues with the longer term plan on that timeline because of the little just delay in the bidding?
There could be some issues with the wildlife, and I do know that they take about twice as long to get contracts executed at ODOT. So that's what I'm digging into now is, will this have any implications on our finish date? And, this is like landing a space shuttle. It doesn't matter when we finish the job. We just need to get it done. So we may be finishing the project right when we're heading into winter, which is unfortunate. but at least we have a firm grasp on that several months in advance. So we are looking into that, and we'll have a better understanding once the contractor is on board. I think it's a pretty unique project, and I'll leave it at that. I don't want to say whether I think they can go faster or slower, but we'll know a lot more once they're on board.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Jason? Cool. All right.
All right.
Well, let's
Talk to you next month, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you again, Jason. Okay, so Kristen, you're going to share an update with the master plan.
Yeah, we actually have Erica here with us this evening, and Erica's joined us before and has been working hard with me on the Parks Master Plan and MIG, and is the liaison to the Planning Commission. But we did have a meeting with them last week, and she's just much more well-versed in these types of things and is going to give us an update.
Good evening, Parks Board. I'm Erica Palmer, Planning Manager with the city. So the Planning Commission, so actually I wanted to take a step
Harry
back.
Bannister
Is now joining.
I'll wait for Harry to join.
I'm here if you can hear me.
Yep, we got you. Thanks, Harry.
Yep, sorry about that. Having
No problem.
technical difficulties.
No problem.
So the Parks Board, at your February 1st meeting, you had recommended the master plan to the Planning Commission to start going through the adoption process. The Planning Commission had the first hearing on the master plan on February 23rd, just last week. They completely recognize the fact that this plan has been vetted through the Parks Board for the past year and a half. It's also been vetted through City Council through multiple work sessions. They reviewed the document and they just had a couple minor changes or some minor recommendations, and those were the executive summary in the very beginning of the document, just some minor tweaks, and primarily for readability of the reader. Like, how do you use this document? If I want to look at action items, where do I go to? So a little bit of more filler in that executive section summary. And then also the project list in that summary, they're thinking about how can we break this down a little further, similar to the last project table and the last Parks and Rec master plan. I know that this group has talked about that table and the list of projects, short-term, medium, and long-term, and what that meant. So we're just going to make some minor tweaks to that as well. They also had some recommendations to include on the 10-minute walk map. Just to caveat it, because we all know that was based on a model. What you put into a model doesn't necessarily reflect what's on the ground. And I think this committee actually had some deep conversations about that map before and what it actually means. So we're just going to add some language to that map to just kind of reflect, hey, this is a 10-minute, walk map to parks, but it may be, a little bit longer than 10 minutes based on the existing conditions that are in Sherwood, missing sidewalks in this area, longer cul-de-sacs in that area. And then a couple other minor things that they had talked about was have a little bit more of a discussion on lighting and natural areas and what that lighting should look like. And then let's see, and then just a couple, minor edits in the appendices about projects that have already been completed. Also, I just want to take a step back here too. In the executive summary section, when it talks about public engagement, we're just going to add the fact that a lot of this engagement was done pre-COVID as well. So overall, they're very minor tweaks. We have this going back to the Planning Commission, and the next hearing is slated for April 13th. And we will actually bring this back to PRAB at your first Parks meeting in April, so we can just kind of run through what those additions and modifications are prior to it going to Planning Commission. But overall, they thank you for your work. Highly dedicated team.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Erica. Yeah, I think it makes sense. I think every step of the way, everybody catches something. And so it's not a surprise that there's a few
Right.
more things to catch. And I think every set of eyeballs we get on it, just
Mhm.
the better it turns out in the end. So
I agree. They're looking at it with fresh eyes, which is really helpful because we've been looking at this document for quite a while now. And I completely agree with the executive summary. Right now, every project is listed in there. And to me, if we can get it down to more of a cheat sheet, grab and go, just a quick look at what our priorities are and where we're headed, and a few projects for each short-term, medium, and long-term. That's what we heard, at least from the Parks Board, when we did our last Parks Master Plan. That's what seemed to be the most helpful tool in the last plan. So I just want to make sure that we have something like that coming out of this instead of, well, you've got 25 projects listed there. How do we know what your priorities are and what you want to be doing? And I don't want to have to dig in 60, 70 pages to figure it out. So they'll support each other, but it's much more of kind of the Cliff Notes version.
yeah, sounds good. All right. Well, thank you, Kristen and Erica, for jumping in the
So,
updates there.
Erica, if you can, so
Yeah.
it seems like what will happen is it will come back on April 5th, and Parks Board, we should actually probably have a printed version delivered to people again before that.
Yes.
To review, and that will be the same one that the Planning Commission is receiving. You can take some feedback on the 5th, or do we need to wait until the 13th at Planning Commission to provide feedback?
If you wanted to provide feedback on the 5th, that would be great, because then I could incorporate it into the staff report that goes out on the 6th.
Okay, got it. That makes sense. Okay. Thank you.
Sounds
Thank
great.
you.
We'll look
Getting
forward to having you again. Almost. All right. Well, Kim, we're excited to have you with us this month. So we'd love to hear from you, just kind of an update from council and how things are going there.
Yeah, thanks for letting me join you. So just a little thing about council. We have an upcoming goal session next Thursday, the 11th, and this was rescheduled from last weekend because our consultant was flying out from Texas, and for some reason there was no flights out, a lot of snow or something, and in fact it was an ice. So we had to reschedule, and we're going to do it on a Thursday evening instead of a Saturday like we normally do. But I think that our goal setting session is probably be a lot of going over. Last year we did a pretty robust goal setting. And I think we're still, well, we are still working on many of those goals. And we had set short-term, long-term, medium-term. So I don't anticipate adding a lot. Staff did a great job in helping us last year put our goals into a working document and the steps needed to accomplish those goals. And so those are kind of working their way through. And then we'll head into budget season coming up once goal setting's done. So we need to know if any of those goals need to be put into the budget for next year. So that's always a good process that goes through June. And then just a work session that we have coming up on March 16th. It's going to be on some miscellaneous police topics, which from what I read is going to cover like our police dog program, civil disturbance equipment, and mental health calls. Just a conversation with the chief and maybe some captains. I'm not sure who's all going to be there, but I think council wanted to just talk to them about their programs and what that looks like for our police department. So that's coming up on March 16th. Other than that, if anybody has any questions, I can try and be happy to answer. But thanks for having me.
Great. Any questions? All right. Well, thank you so much, Kim, for joining us and giving us the update. Krista, do you have any other remaining items for tonight? Oh, you're muted.
Thank you. I did not add Harry to the agenda. We're lucky enough to have him be joining us every month now. So I just wanted to I need to get back in the habit of doing that for a parks maintenance update and facilities update. So I just wanted to give him a chance if he had anything to add. I know he's on the phone and it looks like he's muted as well. So I'm not sure. I'm trying to see if I can, there we go. That might work.
So you think I'm not muted no more, correct?
Yep, we can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, just a little bit of parks update. Wants me to know that the sunshades for Woodhaven Park, they were ordered and the contractor has received those sunshades. So now we're just in the scheduling process to get the sunshades installed over the sandbox there at Woodhaven. Also, trail number 2, that's in the Woodhaven area, it's needs some asphalt repairs, crack seal, and resurfacing, along with the north parking lot at Stella Olson. So we're waiting on contractor bids for that. And also last week, as a parks department, we started bark dusting all our parks and facility areas. So we're getting our parks ready to go for the spring and summer months. And we're getting our program ready for our yearly mowing, as we know the season's coming with the sunshine that came out this week. So we're looking forward to that in the parks department, and just continually try to make our parks a better place to enjoy.
Great, thank you. Is that an annual process, kind of barking each play area?
The play areas, yes, we'll get an annual. That's play chips, but the bark dusting is what we're talking about. The medium fresh fur, like in the bark beds and fence lines and shrubbery areas, is the barking that I was talking about.
Got it. Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
And Eric, if I can just add as well, as many of you probably know, we are now in the moderate category. So the impact to facilities currently is that we are being able to allow larger groups into the field house for rentals. So we're slowly opening that back up for rentals. We're still holding off on leagues for the pure fact that we don't want to bounce back and forth. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but we don't want to get something started up and then have to cancel it. So we're going to just sit at this level for a few more weeks, make sure that we stay here, if not improve, and we'll hopefully be able to get leagues back in there. We're going into spring, and that's when people start going outside to play. So it may be, rentals until fall that we end up seeing in the field house. I will say, though, that rental requests at Snyder Park have increased dramatically since we have discontinued our relationship with scheduling the fields for the school district. We have a lot of youth groups looking for places to play, a lot of teams outside of Sherwood looking for places to play. So we're seeing a huge increase in field usage up at Snyder Park.
That's
Kristen,
exciting.
can I ask a question?
Sure.
Is the school district still also scheduling those with you guys? Are they using them at all?
No, not that I'm aware of. So far, it's just been us utilizing Snyder Park. They didn't use it too often. They did some for baseball, as you know, but
Oh, yeah.
not so much now. Right now, we have a lot of practices going on. I think they're going to try to utilize, now that they have more fields, their fields as much as possible.
Oh, yeah. They do have some more extra. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But I'll just add, what's going to be a little bit challenging is it just depends on which group is doing it. Because before, when we were utilizing Snyder Park, it was Lance scheduling it as well for the youth groups, not necessarily school activities. So now places might potentially also need to rent space from the school district, but not be able to get enough space, and then also need to rent from Snyder Park. So it will be interesting to see how it goes for people.
Great. Does anybody have anything else to add or questions?
Yeah, quick question. Do we know when the dog park, speaking of Snyder, will open this year?
It is open. I'm not sure if today was the first day, but Craig announced this morning that the dog park is open.
Great, thanks.
Excellent. All right. Well, with that, I do want to mention, so, I mean, we knew ahead of time this meeting would be kind of a little bit more brief than a typical one, but still worthwhile to meet and kind of just go through everything, get an update. But with that in mind, too, I think it's worth noting that I think as the parks master plan kind of reaches its finalized stages, I think that'll give us a little more meat to chew on as we look towards future board meetings. And I think it's kind of more the in depth of what I think we have a lot of new faces on the board that have been with us several months, and it's you guys kind of jumped in the thick of working through this parks master plan, and that's kind of what helps us guide these decisions moving forward. So that's been our big focus, is getting this finalized so we know what steps to take after that point. So I appreciate all your patience working through these final details on a document that can seem sluggish at times, but it's a big milestone, I think, for this group and for the city as a whole that can help guide our decisions better. So I just want to say thank you to all of you. And with that, let's call the meeting adjourned, and you hope you enjoy the rest of your night.
Great. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you.